on the table, negotiation table, is, it's merit pay or it's an incentive pay process, then they engage me and I'll actually physically go out sometimes, or I just engage them over the phone. Depends on how seasoned the individual is. So I'll give you some examples. One of our counties, not as big as Prince George's, and I'll talk about Prince George's separate, and you guys have covered, you've done a great job in covering that. But a smaller county than Prince George's. When I receive a call such as that, what I need to do is, or what I usually do is I go meet with the school board. Because usually the school board is pushing it. If I know the superintendent, I'm going to call the superintendent. And because I'd like to talk to the superintendent to get a feel first, to find out, is the superintendent pushing this? Or is it just a school district? And in this particular county, I met and the field representative with the superintendent, and we talked. In the next meeting, the superintendent wanted to meet me on my turf, as opposed to because he got some heat from it. So we met, and then I went back before the board. Now, in that case, the superintendent wasn't pushing it. The board was pushing it. The superintendent did have issues because the superintendent wanted to pay the math teachers more. When you said the math teacher give me the money, okay, we'll address that. So we met with the board, and the board is in session. Everyone else is, they're in executive session, and they said, well, why are you stopping us from doing this? Now, we can't physically stop them, but we have the bodies that we can make a statement about it. And we had most of the teachers were behind us. I said most because obviously some teachers would like to get the incentives, and it's not that we want to stop incentive, we want a fair process in how it's done. So I met with the board, one of the board members. The first thing the board member said was, I heard about this plan in so-and-so, and I think it's a good idea, and we should have it. And I started laughing. I shouldn't have done that, but I started laughing because I'd heard it before. And my point was, if that's the only reason you're going to base a system on, then I shouldn't even be here. So the board president said, okay, let's start over again. So we had the discussion, and this is what we do, and this is what we started doing over the state. If you're serious about giving your teachers additional pay for additional work, whatever you call it, as I said, if you call it merit pay, then red flag. You can call it other things. We'll engage you, but we want to know several things, and you've all talked about it. We want to know, one, where's the money coming from, and how sustainable is it? We want to know it's not just a one-hit wonder, 1 year and that's it, because we've seen that. Show us a sustainable funding source, and we're going to talk. Show us what do you have in mind. And what we've done is we've created in a number of school districts study groups. So we get union members on this group, and we get folks from the Board of Education on the group, and they meet regularly, and they talk about what do you have in mind. Because what I would like to see, and what MSDA would like to see, is what are you bringing to the table? We will tell you what our policies are. And our policies could change tomorrow. Now we have a new president who is for some kind of, whether he calls it merit pay or not, some form of pay for performance. So that may change our policy, but as our policy is right now, as staff, and I'm a staff, I have to follow the policy until our board of directors or our governing body decides to change it. So we'll say, here are our policies. Now, if you have some ideas that we can fit within the policy, then we can talk and we can work something out. And so we have people across the state who are engaged in discussions, and one I know has taken 3 years because they cannot It's not that they can't agree, it's not that they're fighting, but they cannot meet the elements that we're saying, where's your funding source? You know, we've got a big issue now that you all know the state is in crisis, right? Big crisis. We're talking about the educational budget. Right now the governor is saying, well, you know, you're not going to get a cut again. We want to see what the federal government stimulus package is before. So we know we're going to get a cut. We don't know how big this cut is going to be. We still have folks out there saying, well, forget about the single salary scale. We still want some incentive added on to here. And we're saying, whoa, 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 whoa. We want to first make sure teachers are professionals. And my wife's a teacher, so I know that. So teachers are professionals, and we have to pay them as professionals. And you know, they have, right now, MSDA is an agreement. If you get an additional degree, you'll be compensated. If you work in a club, you know, so you can be compensated. If you mentor other teachers, new teachers, you can be compensated. There are a myriad of things, you know, that you can be compensated on. Getting back to the math teacher, in that same school district, the superintendent says, you know, I want this. You know, Herman, try to find a way that you can make sure that I retain my math teacher, because he had lost one math teacher. And it was a friend of his. And what we came up with was, if you want to compensate your math teacher more, and you want to help the grades as far as math is concerned, what you do is, why don't you start a math club? The teacher will be assigned to the math club. Whether it's 2 hours a day or so forth, that teacher will be compensated additional money. And you know, he or she is being compensated. In addition, the students are there to learn, and you can probably increase the test scores in math. You can probably do that. They didn't take that. They didn't buy it there. But after discussing the issue, that's what we came up with. Believe we can support that, because you're looking at additional duties for additional compensation, and the students are going to be helped. And you're saying you want to raise the math scores. So here's a way that you'll get full support from the union. So when I hear out there, and sometimes we hear at the General Assembly as well, that the union, MSDA, is standing in the way. No, we're not standing in the way. We want to make sure it's fair to our members. And if you come up with a way that we can work with you to implement something that's not contrary to our policy as it stands now, then we'll engage you. And once we engage you, if we can come up with something, then we can surely implement that. So that is our position now, statewide, generally. Now, let's talk about Prince George's. And I understand the executive director of Prince George's, Lou Robinson, and the president of Prince George's will be here on March 4th.
We've invited them.
Well, I spoke to them today, and hopefully they will be there. At least. So what I told them, I won't steal their thunder, but I'll just mention, because Prince George's is our second largest local. Now, Prince George's, I'll say this, Prince George's, and Pat used to work in Prince George's as a field staff before she became a manager, and so she also has an interest in this. Prince George's said, we understand MSDA's position, and we're unique. We have a superintendent that we can work with, and the former superintendent, Casey, and I think we can make some things happen here. Prince George's County is big enough that they can actually take on some challenges that other smaller school districts may not be able to take on. So not that MSDA says go ahead. We had our challenges, and we still do, and I'm sure Lou will probably say that. But what they assured us to do, because to understand the association, how we deal with this issue, Again, as I said, we have 24 school districts, 23 of the ones we support. We meet regionally to make sure if something is going on in Wycomico County, it won't negatively affect someone in Prince George's County or in Garrett County. So we meet regionally. We meet at the statewide unit. We call it coordinated bargaining because the school board officials, they do that as well. And I think that's sound business. They have sound business reasons to do that. They need to talk amongst themselves. We need to talk amongst ourselves. And what we do in one local should not negatively affect the operations in another local. Now, Prince George's is big enough, as I said, it can accomplish some things that some of our smaller locals may not be able to accomplish.